But I think if it's done right, it's an extremely powerful tool, if not the most powerful tool, to just play around with your audience.
You don't have to stay.
Today is a crazy busy day. Actually, it's so busy that I don't really have the time to actually make a daily vlog as I usually do. But that's actually what I love about daily vlogging, trying to make something creative and good within the time frame of just one day, and still coming here to the studio, making my music, producing, taking care of all of the necessary business stuff. Today's video will be a little bit different, a little bit special, because it will be all about something I think people don't talk enough about in music and filmmaking, and that is actually silence. Silence as a stylistic choice of the most extreme contrast to music. Because if you really think about it, in music and in film, it's all about keeping that contrast between having silent, quiet parts with less action, less suspension, and parts that are full of action, really loud, have a lot of things going on, and that change actually emphasizes those parts. That's why all of the pop music has verses that tell a story and are more quiet and more settled, and then you have a chorus where everything just comes together. Same for movies, you have the quieter parts with more storytelling, more dialogues, building up the story, and then eventually the parts where like the entire world is just going down and everything blows up, depending on the movie, of course. This video about silence as a stylistic choice, and also my upcoming release that is called Stay featuring Gavin Beach. They are both inspired by one moment in the newest Star Wars movie. I will try to explain it without any spoilers. There's a battleship, another battleship. Like really, no sound at all, nothing. Same was also done in the movie Interstellar for all of the shots outside. They used a lot of silent parts, which I think is quite interesting because that's actually what space should sound. And it is something that isn't expected. And whenever you do something that isn't expected by your audience, you grab their attention. I think this moment in the cinema was so special. Everyone was extremely silent and you could kind of feel the tension. I think it was like for 4 or 5 seconds, really long for such a commercial movie. Whenever we experience silence, we just feel awkward because we humans are not used to being in an environment that is actually silent. Even here in my studio that I would consider extremely silent compared to a normal room, I can still hear the cars outside, I can still hear the noise. I even hear my guitar vibrating a little bit whenever I talk here in this room. It's very sensitive because all of the material around me is absorbing material to make sure that there is no real reverb and that the frequencies are flat so that I can actually produce my music. Even if you go to an even more silent place, let's say the forest, the field outside, you still have the wind, you have leaves moving in the wind, you still hear yourself. Even if you're in a chamber that has absolutely no reverb and no sound, you can still hear the blood in your ear pumping. I was once in one of those chambers. It is just horrible. It feels so weird. I think you could even potentially damage your hearing if you stay too long in these. So let me actually play you one example. The Stay song I've worked on, I have like a tiny bit of silence in there. It's still a pop EDM ballad kind of song. It's hard to describe, but it's something that potentially could be played on the radio. And unfortunately, whenever it comes to radio music, radio friendly music, there's one rule. A couple of years ago where I had like my own radio show with like big guests like Robin Schulz and that kind of stuff, that unfortunately didn't work out, but that's a whole nother story. That rule is simple: never ever have more than 3 seconds of silence in your song. If you have more than 3 seconds of silence, the radio station will automatically detect it and fire up an emergency broadcasting, which is super embarrassing, so never ever do this. Also, if you make mixtapes for radio, podcast, or anything, make sure there is never ever a silence in it. But now let me actually just play you the stay track, this one section out of that song that has this silence in it. It's not really long, as I said, this needs to be able to be played on the radio, and I think it has exactly the amount where it starts to kind of get weird. If the silence is too long, people will just kind of freak out a little inside and not enjoy the song as much. So you have to be careful with it.
Let me hold your hand. Let's see beyond the stars. You don't have to stay.
Now let's actually switch to another example. It's by a friend of mine, a DJ, a techno, tech house DJ in Berlin called Alex Negemann. He made a song called Martyrium. I hope I'm pronouncing this correct. I play it almost every time I'm DJing. It's a really cool song, and it also has these quite long moments of silence for club music that definitely works a lot better. I just love how it builds up and has this tension between that synthesizer sound and absolutely nothing. And I only play it when the club is really full and in its peak, because then the silence is kind of compensated by the crowd. They usually start cheering, clapping. They usually start doing something, because no one, as I said at the beginning, likes silence. It's just a feeling that is weird. People compensate for it. And if you want to get a certain reaction out of people, you can use silence to get that. And in this club track, it's done perfectly to get the crowd engaged. And I think those are the main purposes for silence, as in the movie, for the effect and for the attention and for just being different. Getting the people to think, getting the people to feel awkward, getting the people to compensate for it by being active. Those are the things you can achieve by using silence. So I hope it inspired you, as the movie inspired me to use silence in my upcoming release, to actually try it out for yourself. Play around with the length. I think that's really key to it. And if you have maybe a reverb fading out into it, or maybe at least a little bit of noise or ambience in the background, this can help. Or you can go like full silence if that's what you want to go for. Also, if you're DJing and you have a good connection to the crowd, you can cut out certain sections of the song so people start singing along. You can cut it out just to get a reaction of the people. Just try it out. It's something that is very bold, so you have to have the balls to actually do it. But I think if it's done right, it's an extremely powerful tool, if not the most powerful tool, to just play around with your audience. So let me know if you ever use silence in your songs, if you ever considered using it, if you know any songs, any movies where silence is used. So that's basically already it for today. It's just really, as I said, a way too busy day to be actually able to capture it in a vlog like I usually do. If you're interested in following me along on my journey as a DJ and producer, feel free to subscribe, like. We will see us tomorrow again to I wanted actually to say to a regular vlog, but tomorrow will be actually a crazy vlog. If I decide to go to the city center, tomorrow's carnival here in Germany, so I don't know. Every year the same fight. Should I go? Should I not go? Because drinking before noon is quite exhausting.